Anyways, a real pleasure to speak
Yeah.
with you. A wonderful time watching the movie. And you've always worn your heart on your sleeve. Why now show the world this side of you? Every side of you.
Why not? You know, I might be dead next year. Hell, you know, I made it this long. I'll be 63 in June. Made it this long. I didn't plan to make it this long, so it's, you know, and I'm not scared of anybody seeing the real person that I am. Doesn't bother me.
Now, Paris is a long way from the Sunset Strip. And you've got a new life, a new wife. How about the culture shock? How have you adapted to being a Parisian?
I mean, for being in France?
Yes.
It's I don't speak French
Yes.
at all.
Oui.
So, now you probably do because where you're at.
Yes, petite.
I don't at all. It's probably better. And at the dinner table, I don't understand what they're talking about, and I love it anyway that way. And it's probably better that way. I kind of like it. Some of the food I still can't eat today. You know, like escargot is just not something that I have never been on my menu.
Right.
It's something that I wouldn't brought up when I was a kid. You know, I still think today if I had to eat one, I'd probably throw up.
Now, it's certainly a different culture. And how have you adapted just to the people, to the history? It's such a beautiful place in the world, right?
Yeah, it goes back more than, 300 years, more than any place in America in a way.
Right.
Besides the Indian culture, but yeah, it's just different. You know, I no different. It's no difference to me than living in LA, except I don't have that many friends.
Right.
There is one thing: the cops here, the police, are a lot nicer. Okay. They're a lot nicer than they are in America, than where I lived in California, Glendale, California.
Have you been recognized very much there?
Sometimes, some of the I was down at the music festival a while back, and we were just walking by to just see, and then some of I stay for photography, but none of the movie stars. But no, a few of the photographers, some people will here and there, but not too many people. When I'm on the road, they do.
Now, Chris, the one takeaway, and as I said, I've followed your career since day one, is like this guy is for real. I think people who watch this movie that haven't been a fan of W.A.S.P or followed your career must say, wow, this guy really wears his heart on his sleeve. You can never judge a book by the cover. This guy's for real, man. And he's lovable.
I'm a Californian native.
That says it all.
That's how most California natives are.
Right.
What
is the one? Sorry, go ahead.
There is people that are in music that are from California that aren't born there, but have lived there their whole lives. It's just a different mindset, than to come, than to be brought in from somewhere else. It's just California,
If you could name one person that shaped you as the human being that you are today, could you name one?
My mom.
Yeah, thought so.
Definitely my mom. I grew up without a father, an actual biological father. He was there the day separated when I was 2. And my mom mostly brought me up. And I had a few stepfathers at the time that influenced me, but my mom mostly, she let me do what I want to an extent. Gave me a roof over my head.
How would you describe your relationship with your mom now?
Now?
Yeah.
Good. She's starting to get Alzheimer's. So she's getting older. She's still alive, believe it or not. but she lives in Wyoming,
Okay.
where my sister is. My sister helps take care of her,
Right.
and she's just getting senile. You know, as you get older, you get senile, things break down, and that's just a part of life, you know.
Yeah, we will all get there, unless something gets first, right?
Oh yeah, and in 100 years from right now, this world will be turning, and we'll all be gone.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what another takeaway from the movie was your interaction with fans, which I found really heartwarming. And I have to ask you, can you tell me, like in your own personal history, like I cannot believe I met you moment? Somebody that you could not believe that you met, because everyone in the movie that met you was just taken aback. But is there someone in your world that you met and you go, whoa, I can't believe I met this person?
Tony Iommi.
Okay.
You know, growing up when I was a little kid, I never thought I'd run into him or be able to have the interaction in time. The guy was really, really cool to me, and I don't want to talk about, you know, what he was really cool to me. You know, I don't want to, you know, I'd like to say that about Van Halen, but I grew up with the guys. I knew them before they were playing backyard parties, so it's hard for me to, you know, look at it as different. Tony Iommi, you know, he was always a huge star from day one.
Right.
You know, did I answer the question okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, you did. I'd like to bring up Tony a little later, but I wanted to talk about you creating music now and the inspirations, and where is like the ultimate place for you to create, where you can get into the zone?
Playing my guitar I like to do it with a pair of headphones on, the guitar sound, and a drum machine, and I turn up the drum machine loud and I create guitar riffs there, and that's how I do a song. I find a good guitar riff and I built around it. Some people do a vocal point, built the song around a vocal point, but I do just playing my guitar into a computer or whatever, you know. Years ago, before the computer would be my amplifier, I'd sit in front of it real loud and play it until I come up with something I thought was cool.
Now, when I was watching the movie, I was trying to figure out where you wanted to take your vocals. And by the end of it, I'm like, it's got to be Neil Young. And then the next scene was you guys playing Rockin' in the Free World. So is Neil Young a vocal? It was really strange. I'm like, I wrote it down in my notes and I'm like, wow, I can't believe he's singing this right now. So what's that inspiration about?
I liked it. Ever since I ever heard the song, I've liked the guitar music. Loved it. Just dun, 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 dun. It's a heavy metal guitar riff. Neil Young's not a heavy metal guitar player, but he plays it. You know, you can play a heavy metal, and I like the chorus. There's no better chorus I've ever heard in my life than "Keep on Rocking in the Free World," you know. And in a lot of places I've been here, I went to Czech Republic, played in Prague. You know, that was behind the Iron Curtain, and played with a bunch of people that were there when the Iron Curtain was up, and I talked to them about it, and they, you know, keep on rocking in the free world. It's a gnarly statement. I'm going to keep doing that song every night. Every time I play, I'm going to end with it, no matter what. It's my favorite song.
Beautiful. Am I correct with the vocalizations? Well, where do you want to go with your vocals?
In my music,
Yes.
I do not have the big range of voice, screaming and loud. My voice is what it is. I personally hate it when I hear it, like on an answering machine. I go, man, I sound that horrible. But it works in the songs that I sing. There's a few people that say, dude, get a singer. You know, hey, you can take you and get a singer. Shut up your rear end. And I'm going to do music I like. If they don't like it, then let's turn it off. Hey, there's a knob, turn it off. It's that good. You know, there's a lot of people that say I can't sing, blah, blah, blah. But that's too bad. I like it, and that's all that matters, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I like it, and that's all that matters, you know. It's kind of a rude way to put it.
No, you're fine. You've always been so mobile on stage. It's kind of like Pete Townsend meets Angus Young. You're always moving every one of your limbs. Where did that inspiration go to just move like a maniac on stage and still be able to play the guitar?
Comes from when I was a kid, the movie Jimi Hendrix. Seen that?
Okay, wow.
You know, Jimi Hendrix, when he wasn't singing, when he actually wasn't singing to a mic, he was usually in his early days performing, you know, doing some kind of crazy maneuvers or whatever. He looked cool. He looked cool. Everything he did looked cool. You know, you ever seen Monterey Pop Festival?
Yes, love it. Yeah.
Everything he did, every move he made was cool, man. You know, every move he did was cool. And that's why I like to model myself after him. I know I'm not like him. I can't ever play like that, but you know, at least I don't try to be somebody. I'm gonna be me, the way I am. The only thing with singing is you can't move.
Right.
You can kind of dance by the mic stand a little bit, but I don't dance.
Or you could do the Sammy Hagar Red Rocker thing and have that little microphone on your ear.
Yeah, that'd be a cool idea. That was cool. I like that. But Prince, right, where the bass player had had a microphone that bent and you could go like this and it was bolted to his guitar.
Right.
And it was cool. He could walk over and he was in pull the mic up and sing. That was a cool idea. Nice. You know. I don't got the money and all that stuff right now to do it. So when I go to a show, I just put up with what they have. There's a monitor. There's a mic. Go. You know.
Another really heartwarming thing about the movie and your personality is you're kind of like a car junkie mechanic, but you apply it to the guitar. You've always wanted to know like the inner workings and tinkerings, not just knowing how to play it, but how to build it and take it apart. And
right. Yeah. It's the way I've always been, you know. I like to know what pushes the speakers, why they move, you know, what makes a cabinet, I just always, I always want to know why it sounds that way. That's why I'm in the sound first, more than about anything. I'm in the sound and the tone of more than the, you know, like if it came down to it, have a lead sound or a rhythm sound, even though I'm a lead guitar player, I think I would rather have a better rhythm sound. And then, then I don't like to have pedals and stuff, but yeah, I like to know why all the stuff works and that's why it sounds that way.
Now, you see a lot of photos of another mad scientist, take that as a compliment, Eddie Van Halen. He did the same thing. You see photos of him in a workshop and you're looking and going, wow, man, this guy's serious.
Yeah, he'd like to craft his own stuff. You know, usually if you pull a Fender off the wall, they're all the same.
Right.
You know, or a Les Paul. They all got a tone and a knob. They're all the same. You know, they're not unique. You know? Just, yeah. Ed used to paint, he used to use bicycle paint on his guitars.
Right.
You know, from the Schwinn bicycle shop. That's what he used to use.
I love the story because Women and Children First, maybe my favorite Van Halen record. And when I heard that he borrowed one of your guitars to perform on it, I'm like, wow, please tell us that story and your relationship. And it's so shocking that he's passed. How did you guys hang out together?
Well, he had, I couldn't tell you if it was 78, it could be 76. He bought an Ibanez distributor, he did. And he cut a V out of the back, so it looked like a star. And he just tried to make it look different, you know, than what been buying it right off the the showcase wall or whatever. And it changed the sound. It looked cool, but it changed the sound from what the first time he played it. And I think Women and Children was the second album, right? I think so. Well, I had crashed my motorcycle, and I was in the hospital, and I was going to stay there for about a month and a half, and I hurt my back. And he came in, see how I was doing, and asked if he could borrow my guitar for the record, you know, because he would like that sound of that the kind of wood it had. It wasn't. There's a thing called a Gibson Explorer, and it's made out of different wood than the Ibanez Destroyers were made out of a certain wood called Carina. I don't know too much about it. I know what balsa wood is and pine, and I know what bark is. But anyway, he wanted the same sound. So as before he cut it, so he borrowed my guitar. You know, that's all. I couldn't even tell you what songs he played it on. I never even asked him.
Were you a big fan of his career growing up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, definitely, man. Definitely, it was great watching him play. Go from backyard parties to one of the biggest rock bands in the world. It's great. You know, it's great.
Well, but you being a guitar player and his friend, like, what was it watching him kind of just go to the stratosphere in terms of a musician? Like, what were you thinking when, holy shit?
Well, he was that good the first time I met him.
Right.
He was from the first day I met him and saw him play. He was that good of a guitar player. I mean, he was that good then. And he never. So from the first time I met him, he never got any better. You know, to me, he never got any better. He always played like that. Always played like that. You know, I always knew when I was a kid, man, if they could just get through the right album, they'll be huge. You know, they just got to get out and do it.
Right.
You know.
Well,
it's sad that he's gone, man. You know, he's gone too soon. There's a bunch of stuff he could have probably finished, you know, but it's who's to say when you get sick and die and get cancer? There's, you know, but Nelly's gone. What's the name from Ken Hensley's gone.
Yeah.
I'm still here.
Can we? Where were you? What kind of a relationship did you have with Eddie? In like the last couple of years, were you guys still tight? Did you see him very often?
No. I can remember once he called me and I was in La Cañada, and he said, "Hey, come on up to the house." And I told him I had something I had to do later. And I hate saying this. I don't know if I should even say this now, but the reason why I said that is because I didn't have enough gas money to drive up to his house. And
Wow.
I lied. I told him I had something I had to do. And I lied because I was so embarrassed that I didn't have the money, the gas money. Shouldn't be, it's not going to bother me. I don't care what people say. I don't care what they think. I didn't have enough money, enough gas in my car. I had something else to do. He goes, "Okay, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, man, okay. All right, I'll talk to you next time." And I don't know, next time I saw him. I didn't bother him, like, you know, all the time. He's a friend, you know, he does his thing, you know.
When I sent you the questions ahead of time, one of the questions I said, on my gravestone is Tony Iommi wanted my guitar sound. So when that came up in the movie, because I'm a huge Sabbath fan, everyone is a huge, but to have arguably the godfather of the riff tell you that, no, I want your sound, not my sound.
Well, that's my roadie said that, but he told me he liked, we're sound checking. I think it's 87. I couldn't even tell you what album W.A.S.P was on. And Black Sabbath had Glenn Hughes singing.
Yep.
7 Star, and
Yeah.
I never met him, and all of a sudden I think we were in Canada opening for him. I was one of the first shows, and they'd always sound check to get our gear on stage, and I'm playing, and they do the drums, boop, 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 okay, Chris, your guitar. And I hit a few chords, played a few notes, and then guitar next, he's over there looking at my equipment. I'm like, my heart goes, da 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 da, I just walked up and I went to shake his hand, and I have a guitar that has crosses on the neck. The dots might have crosses. And the first thing he did is he pointed at my guitar, and I just went, I go, you're one of my biggest influences of all. And I go, Chris, and he goes, Tony, blah, blah, blah. And we started looking at my gear. He asked what I use. And he just told me, he goes, man, this feels like our sound, what you're using. And we became friends from then on, Now, I don't remember the whole actual conversation. Rhodey does more, but anyway.
It's funny. I've got Rhodey as one of my next questions, because during the movie, things come full circle, and you're actually carting your gear around.
Yeah. It's the way it is. I'm not embarrassed of it either. I played it in the last few years. I played some really, really small places, but if you can't play the small places, don't even expect to play the big places.
What's your takeaway? Having played the big places and then coming back to the small places, where's your comfort zone?
My comfort zone?
Yeah.
I like the small places because the people are right there, right in your face. I mean, you can touch them. The bigger places you can't. It's really far away from people. The bigger places you touch more people, but this is 2020 now, or 2018, 2020. It's a different era. You don't sell records like you used to, and it's just a way different era. It's a different business. And my comfort zone, I'll play anywhere. I don't have a comfort zone.
I will say, though, that you are, speaking of influences, I only influenced you, but you've influenced so many bands. And I was speaking to Silent Oz from Dimmu Borgir a couple of weeks ago, and it seems to be that like a lot of the extreme metal bands were influenced by W.A.S.P, like a lot of the Scandinavian bands, and I think mostly your guitar playing.
I think it's because the singing, the screaming, That might be the guitar playing. It's Motörhead was the first thrash metal band, right?
Right.
Yeah, and W.A.S.P, I guess, it was it was actually all Blackie's voice,
No doubt he had a powerful voice, but the leads were instrumental.
Kind of, yeah. If you read them, you look at it. You look at it a lot different. You go, that, I look at it and go, that's crap. And the first W.A.S.P album to me wasn't a guitar record. It because the guitars are buried in the background. I mean, Defenders of the Faith had just come out, right?
Right.
Judas Priest.
Yeah.
And before the W.A.S.P album, there was Born Again.
Yes. Oh. Yes.
Okay. So and you think I'm going to be proud of W.A.S.P? But some people like it. They like it.
Wow. So you were actually paying attention. You were a fan as you were gaining fans.
Yeah. But I like the heavy guitar sound. Blackie and I, we'd butt heads on the albums up to the Headless Children on how the guitars should sound, and how loud they should be, and it's his voice won every time. So what do you do? I know you're not supposed to fight against a producer.
No, but you also need to have a voice, right? So does it make sense that Blackie actually wrote everything from those first, like the iconic W.A.S.P records? Were there writing credits there that you should have been given credit for?
I wrote a lot more than what I'm written for.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, a lot more. If you go back and ask any W.A.S.P. Brody who was there from the beginning, but that's just 2020 hindsight. What did you know? Right. At that time, I was happy making $120 a week. I was happy to make money playing.
Yeah.
You know, so it's all right.
You brought up the first time you quit. The drummer on that record passed away last year. Tell us some Benally stories. The Headless Children is such a fucking heavy record, and yeah. It was the John Bonham, which was part of that, behind you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Frankie recording it. I don't know why, but somebody had some idea for him to record just the skins first. No metal or cymbals. So they do a whole track and he'd play, and instead of hitting a hi-hat, he'd hit his leg. He'd be playing to a click. But yeah. And he played just the skins first, and then come back in and overdub the cymbals on top of it after. You know, to us like I would play a scratch track with him, and if that drum track worked, you know, we'd go back and listen. If that drum track worked, then he'd go, which is a motherfucker to do. And I really don't think it made that much separation on the album. Maybe it did. It could have. I don't know. In the mixing, it could have. It sure sounds different than the previous 3 W.A.S.P. albums. So it could have made a difference.
Yeah, no disrespect. I've never heard of it. Does that make any sense, what you guys did to separate that? Is that...
I'm not an engineer, but it could have.
Okay. Okay.
It could have. You know? Mikey Davis engineered the album, mixed it mostly. Max Norman started it, but then, just like in everything else, Blackie got in a fight with him and Max quit. So,
but you're right. The drum sound is more powerful on that record than anything previous.
Yeah, that's also the way Frankie played. Plus, he played a lot different kind of beats than like the first album that Tony did. You know, the first album's all doo to papa doo to papa doo. It's all swing beat.
What did you think of the covers? I'm a purist, but I think The Real Me is one of the greatest covers that anyone's ever done. And I Don't Need No Doctor. Were you happy by actually being part of those covers?
No. First of all, you're not going to play I Don't Need No Doctor better than Humble Pie played it.
Right.
Okay. You can't. You can't play it better than what they did on that live album. You can't. I don't care who you are. Right. All right. As the Who song, The Real Me, the video came out cool. That's not really a guitar song. It's mostly bass and drums.
Right.
There's only, you know, I only hit 4 chords in the whole song. That's it. Easy song for me to play. I like the song. I love the Who. Every song the Who ever did is a killer song, you know.
Let's talk about
some happy songs that are kind of Happy Jack or whatever.
Yeah.
But, you know, I would have choose different songs to cover, but I'm not the engineer, and if things were done my way, it probably wouldn't have gone as far as it did.
Right. Couple more questions for you. I've forgotten about the Philthy Animal Taylor tie-in with you, and that's another tragic story to have. Like the legendary, all 3 members are now gone, right? Like, what was working with him? Because he was like one of the first speed metal drummers too. He was iconic. He looked fucking scary though.
Phil's probably out of everybody in the music business I've ever met. Everybody around the planet, everybody. He was the coolest fucking guy. You know, well-hearted from the heart. He he didn't like people that bullshitted, didn't like liars. And he'd tell you to your face. He lived a really, really quiet life in LA, you know, really kind of quiet. It was hard for me to even get him to go out, you know, but he liked living in LA. And I just noticed one day he had his computer set up. I've known him for long, through the from 85, 84. He was had the first Pro Tools when computers were DOS back then. And then in 2000, I'd say 4, I went by his house and I saw he had his computer hooked up with a drum set. I'm like, hey, Phil, so what are you doing? Are you playing music anymore again? He goes, yeah, listen. And I listened to it and I was like, man, the guitar sounds horrible. And he goes, can you do any better? I go, yeah, I can. So I brought my equipment up the next day when we started recording to learn how the computer worked more than to record, because he needed somebody to play notes, guitar. And if there was something would happen with the computer, instead of punch buttons, he'd sit down and read the manual. He could read really good, you know, and go through all the crap and stuff like that. And so it was about a learning experience with him. And then we had enough music to do an album. We were going to do an instrumental album, and I actually sang a song, you know.
Sorry, a little bit of cutting out. Is there any of that material in the wings? Was it any?
Yeah, well, the album's called Nothing to Lose. It was done by Philthy Animal Taylor. He engineered the whole album, and I had it mixed. He did it. That, as of more music, it was on his computer, and that went back to London with him when he got a brain. All of a sudden, one day he had a brain aneurysm. Boom, and that was it. You know, and he had to go back to England.
Wow. Did he have much contact with Lemmy back then when you knew him?
No. I had a little contact here or there with Lemmy. I'd run into him at the Rainbow, say hi, see him here, this and that, you know. More. He always respected me, Lemmy. He was always nice to me, to my face.
That's a big difference, right?
Yeah. Phil told me a few stories that I totally understand why, you know.
If Blackie saw a Mean Man, what do you think he'd say?
I don't think he'd really care.
Yeah.
Because it's not about him.
Right.
You know, he wouldn't say anything about it. He'd just go, oh, big deal. He'd just go, oh, yeah. Next thing, because it's not him.
Yeah, it's sad as a big W.A.S.P fan to watch it's like watching your parents break up. It's like, fuck, man, I love these guys, but they're not getting along. They're fighting all the time. I'm like, just make more music, please. I know it's not that easy.
It's not that. Have you ever worked with a narcissist? Somebody that says it's their way or the highway?
Yeah, sure.
And he wants it his way. Hey, bunch of guys, and then the second album is who on the cover?
Yeah.
And the third album is who on the cover? Once that happened, I didn't really give a shit about it. I would just go along and record and do my gig and then stay, you know, hang with my friends. And I already knew that's what he wanted to do, you know, so it's what do you do? You know, I only came back in 95 because I wanted to tour and see the world again. I didn't really care about playing. You know, once it's like a bicycle playing, you don't ever, you know, once you learn how to balance it, you're not going to forget, you know.
2 more questions for you.
Yeah.
This is not being rude. What does this mean? Or is it an allegiance to Johnny Cash? Because I thought you could take these great photos and then this, big smiles everywhere.
It was okay. Like W.A.S.P uses a saw blade.
Yep.
Okay. Zakk Wylde used the bullseye. Right.
Yeah.
I was going to use this as my logo about 7 years ago. Or 8 years ago. I had it in mind to use as, you know, my logo thing. And I put it on a bunch of shirts. It's on my record, which kind of use it, but I just fell out of using it, you know. And it comes from the Johnny Cash picture.
There, awesome.
But, yeah, it's kind of. I remember I know what picture you're talking about too.
Yeah.
Some photographer asked him something. He's going like this. He's going F. You know, you can say he's going.
It's iconic. It's iconic.
Yeah.
My last question for you, and thank you so much. You've been a huge inspiration. At the end of the movie, you say, "I love you" to the crowd, and I'm looking at them, looking at you, going, "Fuck, this guy actually." Because most artists say, "I love you" to the crowd, but I'm looking at you, going, "This is a guy that actually really, really means it. Really, you're really happy with the crowd is there for you."
Well, without the fans, I wouldn't be nobody. Wouldn't be crap. I'd be pushing a broom at McDonald's.
Right.
You know, or whatever. Maybe I'd have done a different career. Well, I hope by the time I was 62, I would have been at McDonald's. And without the fans, you know, I wouldn't be there. I wouldn't be who you know, wouldn't be famous or whatever. You know, Ozzy says I love you all the time.
I know he does. I was going to say that. You and Ozzy are the only ones you can really believe.
Well, Ozzy always says we love you.
Yeah.
We love you. We. But yeah. You know,
You're one. Yeah. Dude, thank you so much.
I love you, right?
Dude,
it doesn't make no sense. It don't make no sense, huh? I love you.
Oh, man. Thank you so much. Thank you. You are a treasure. You're a definite treasure. And hopefully we get to cross paths once this COVID bullshit disappears.
Yeah, in 2022, we'll be able to.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah, for sure.
If they don't get it done by then, something's wrong, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Something's wrong.
Absolutely.
Is that it?
That's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
I love that VH in the background.
Oh, thank you.
See my picture back here?
Yes, I do. Beautiful.
Somebody painted. That's a fan painted it and gave it to me.
Amazing.
Without a fan, I wouldn't have that.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have that.
No, for sure, man. Well, you got a big fan from Canada here. Thank you. Cheers, man.
Merry Christmas.